So welcome to lesson number 6 in this module. And this is the templates for the measurements for Project 13. I know you've all been waiting for. We put these together for you. And so we've got 4 different spreadsheets. And I want to encourage you, if you don't have them yet, stop the video right now, just put it on a hold. And each of you download and do it on your PC or Mac or whatever you have. Download the file, each of the 4 files, because we're going to go over them very specifically. I want you to see how they all work. So pause it right now and download and turn me back on. Okay, now we're back on. And so here we go. So I want to go through each of these 4 spreadsheets with you that I have slides for here, but I'm going to go off the PowerPoint live to spreadsheets because I want you to really understand which is which. So first of all, go to the one that says church footprint. And if you can see on the screen here, this is church footprint right up here. Let me get my little pointer here. And you can see exponential church footprint up here. So first thing we're going to do is in this spreadsheet, you're going to customize it for your church. So list all the schools with 13-year-olds that any of your congregation may attend. So you list all the schools there. And you can do that as a group because you may or may not know them all. Somebody might have to research it, bring it back to you, okay? And then list the number of 12 to 14-year-olds in the school and list the number of 13-year-olds. You can decide later which ones that you're going for. So now what are you going to go for, just the 13-year-olds or all the 12 to 14-year-olds? You can choose. Okay, so total of all the schools in the footprint, and we're going to keep kind of drilling down a little bit here. How many of those in the footprint do you want to attend Epic Event number 1? So if you had, I used the number before, if you have 10,000 in your footprint, and that would be about the size if you had maybe 150,000 people in your town. I don't know, maybe 200,000 in your town. You might have 10,000 13-year-olds. You can literally find out from schools. Just call them and find out. And make a goal. I'm going to challenge you to make a goal. Like if you've got 10,000, it's not hyperbole to think, hey, we want 500 or we want it doesn't matter how big your church is. It really, when it comes to this, because I guarantee you no one's done an event, especially no church has done an event for strictly 13-year-olds in your city. So how many of those in your footprint do you want to attend Epic Event number 1? So if you, just for argument's sake, you said, I want 10,000, I have 10,000 and I want 1,000 to come to our first Epic Event. So put 1,000 there. Percentage of overall footprint you want, so that would be 10%. So you want 10% of every 13-year-old that lives in your city to be at that event. Okay, good. Are you getting excited yet? Go to the next one. To reach this, we must target 3 times that number with 7 different exposures. So if we want 1,000, we better target 3,000 of them 7 different times. Okay, so we got to do 3,000 times 7. That's 21,000 different messages. Okay, so we have here's 7 different things. There's an invite, social media, invite personal friend, invite text graphic, invite social media, invite another video invite, a personal call invite, set time for pick them up and get them. How many of those in the footprint do you want to attend Epic Event 2? And then the same thing happens for Epic Event 2. The point is, you're going down the pathway here of how do we make sure, like when you do the first social media invite, did 3,000 people open it up? Well, why not? What do we need to do to get to those 3,000? So I just want to encourage you, like you just reverse engineer it. Well, we're only getting to 500. How do we get to 3,000? And reverse engineer it. Figure it out. You know, you can buy ads. You can do whatever there's other ways to do it. You know, radio, buy ads there. Get them to sponsor something. A lot of times radio, or other PR things like TV will give you something. If you let them come and MC or make an announcement or hold a banner or put a banner up about their radio station or something, they'll give you free airtime or something like that. So this is figuring out your footprint and then figuring out based on what percentage of that footprint, how many do you want to be there, and then how do you need to reach them. I just encourage you because a lot of times people go, we think 1,000 going to be there. We think 1,000 going to be there. And it's just a pipe dream. Listen, marketing is art and science. And so the whole science of marketing, how many exposures do they need, all that kind of, take it seriously. Don't just say, well, whatever the Lord wants to be there. No, the Lord wants everybody saved, right? So we know that already. He wishes that none should perish, right? And so, anyways, do the science of it and then figure out, well, how do we need to get in front of these people, and ask your youth for ideas, that kind of thing. Okay, the second spreadsheet here is the church internal measurements spreadsheet. So bring that one up. If you need to pause me again, just do it. And bring this one up because I want you to go down with me. So first of all, we want to know ourselves. Remember we talked about know thyself? So here we go. Church weekly attendance. You want to know how many people 13 and up go to your church. Just put it here. You can start in week 1. It doesn't matter where you start because you start where you start. And then how many people below 13? And then right now, how many people are in your weekly youth group attendance? So you just write the numbers right here, right? That's what you want to do. So no hyperbole, no just about this many. I mean, just put exact numbers. And then start measuring in a little bit different way going forward. So for example, average age of attendees above 13. So at Epic event number 1, you want to measure how many people came. And so we're going to do the acronym here, Agile. And so what we want to do is Epic event number 1, we're just measuring for that event, right? So how many people came, literally came to the event. And then number 2, how many people are actually following Christ, okay? Committed their life to become followers of Christ. You can do it for number 2 and number 3. I would encourage you on row 13 here is once you have the Epic event, find the average find the average age of your attendees at your church. So for example, on that number 13 right there, the very first week after the Epic event, you're inviting people to come. Remember, you've moved the event to the weekend, Saturday night or Sunday. It's a weekend church service for young people. And then I would encourage you, everybody 13 and older, hold up your phone, text in your age, and do it to all adults and everybody, right? And then calculate your average age right there and write it right there. You can write it in the spreadsheet, average age 13 and up, and put the average number right there compared to the average number here. And that, because that's a number you want to start measuring for the average age of 13 and up, okay? So we're going to keep going here. The growth track. Oops. Sorry about that. The growth track is the G in the Agile acronym. And let me explain what I'm talking about here. In the growth track, we're going to measure things like this. Overall attendance in the growth track of 13 to 20-year-olds. So how many are in like your basically your welcome to the family in your trimester 1? How many are there? That'll be how many are involved in your 13 to 20-year-olds in your church. How many of those are in the growth path? How many are in a connect group? You're measuring, you're counting each week how many are there. Number of new converts from the Epic event number 1 that are in connect groups. So how many people that actually came to Christ, say 300 came to Christ, but 100 actually came to connect groups. You want to know that number. You dismiss them all to groups right at the end of the altar call, right? But how many have been showing up? And you want to know week to week, you know, how many are in the connect group this week, and then the next week, and the next week, and the next week, and the next week. You're going to measure this. And then same thing after event number 2, Epic event number 2. The I is future, being future fit, inspiring future fit vision, all the dates that are inventing the future, and you can kind of find ways to measure. Are you guys scanning and looking at trends and that kind of thing? So you're monitoring. Like this is something that we're focused on. Okay, leadership development of youth, very important. Number of participants you have in leadership training. What's the percentage of overall of your youth that are of your age group from 13 to 20 that are involved? So you want to measure that, you know, week to week, month to month, year to year. Number of newcomers from Epic event number 1 in leadership training. Remember, by trimester 3, you want them in leadership training. So how many are there? First few, there's going to be nobody. But after they get to the first couple trimesters, you want to get them involved. And so percentage of new converts in leadership training, percentage from event number 1, how many, what percentage completed leadership training, same event for number 2, and then So you're really knowing yourself. You're not just going on and doing programs. You're measuring along the way. Why is that so low? Is there anything we can do about that? Okay. And then the E in the acronym, if you remember, is for engaging the entire church. So we've talked about what to do to engage the entire church, but you want to be able to measure it. So for example, date of first introductory of Project 13 to congregation. Put that date there. How many committed to pray for the event? You want to know that. Percentage that committed to pray for the event. How many listed names of 13-year-olds to pray for? Percentage of adults that listed 13-year-olds to pray for. So you're really trying to understand how much are they grabbing a hold of this vision. Total number of 13-year-olds and names listed to pray for. Put that number there by everybody. Total number who committed to fill their vehicles with 13-year-olds for epic event. Percentage who committed to do that. Actual number who filled their cars. And a percentage of those who committed. So you want to know those numbers, right? Number who committed to be a driver for the epic event. They don't have a car, but they'll be a driver. Who committed to be a driver. So the number of people and the percentage. Actual number who were a driver and who committed. So you want to, and then you do the same thing for the second event and for the third event. Because what you're hoping, you'll have a third event on the second year, right? In the second year, you'll have a third and fourth event. And then the third year, you'll have a fifth and sixth. You have 2 events every year. But the point is, you want to measure the engagement of your church. Are they getting more and more engaged and you can tell it by what percentage of them are participating in either a little bit, like praying or putting a name down or saying, I'm going to drive, that kind of thing. Okay, next spreadsheet is, this is a great one. And this is all about the exponential growth machine. This is the engine. This is how you measure the engine. So watch this. So take a minute, click it up, get it up. You can see it's the growth engine, exponential 201 growth engine. So here it is. So this is where you're measuring each week exactly what's happening. Okay, you want to know the condition of your flocks is one way you're going to really show you. So watch this. Right here, connect group leaders. You're going to have group leader number 1. You'll put their name down. Number 2, number 3. Now I would. This is where you're literally monitoring the leaders of your of all your small groups, okay? And you're monitoring their growth, okay? So first of all, group L1 would be how many? Remember we talked about getting 14, 15, 16 years in your first group. We call that L1. The next group of leaders is L2. Next group of leaders is L3. You're recruiting a different group each time, right? And so how many you recruit, and then you can mark, how many you had at each week's meeting, right? And then under each group leader, what you're going to do, you're going to put the name of the leader and the name of their student. This Johnny and Freddie and Charlie. You're going to put their name. You can make this as long as you want. You just fill in the blank, and then you're going to start marking. Like this is the Welcome to the Family series. So Johnny came week 1 and week 2 and week 3 and week 4. Susie came on, and so you can itemize it for each group. You put the group leader's name and then all the names of the people in their group. The next group leader's name and then all the people in their group. And then each week you monitor who came. And so you can look in a second because you ought to know by the end of that meeting who's there and who's not. Because they text you in. They text back to the leader, hey, Johnny and Susie and Sally and whoever was there, these guys weren't there, and then you mark it, right? And then the same thing happens, so you can see who finished all 4 weeks. You can see then trimester 1, you put the same thing, the leader's name, all of their small group members' names down, and then who came week 1, who came week 2, who came week 3, and you can see what I've done here is extended this out for you all the way through week 12, the first trimester. Okay, so this is trimester 1. Pathway of Freedom, or whatever you want to call it, right? And then there's the encounter one at the end of that. So you can mark, and now if they've missed 1 week, like you can look down and say, hey, everybody's here except Charlie didn't make it. So everybody's calling Charlie. The group leader's calling, maybe somebody else. If they miss 2 weeks, oh my gosh, we're like got the president of the United States on the phone with them, like, or some bishop or somebody said, hey, you got to be back there because we want them not to miss 1 week if possible. And then did they come to the encounter or not? All right. So then you keep the same spreadsheet for trimester 2. There's all 12 weeks. There's the encounter. There's trimester 3. So you can expand this and personalize this to measure How committed, how engaged are they? And then do the same thing for the leaders, right? Let's go back over here, and because you want to measure as people get into, so you're measuring here. You got the Connect group leader's name, participant's name, Connect group leader's name, and you keep doing for however many leaders or groups you have. You just keep adding and adding and adding. And you'll do the same thing for leaders that are coming to leadership training. Okay? So, and then the last spreadsheet here that I'm really excited about, and this will give you a lot of fodder for vision. And I know some of you at least must be visionaries. This one right here is the Project 13 Church 10-year projection. So pastors, everybody on this in this group right now, you're about to get really happy because this is going to show you how the exponential machine works. So watch this. So it starts with you're measuring the footprint. You found out how many 13-year-olds are there, right? How many you want to get in the building, what percentage of them, and then how many you'd like to have come to Christ. Like you're praying, like if we had 1,000 there, would we want 500 to come to Christ or 300, whatever the number is. Like you make faith goals based on your own heart. What this does is it shows you how it can look over the year or over the years. So imagine this. So if you're, I'm just going to make up some numbers here, and you can change all the numbers in this, right? I'll show you how to change it in a second. So right here, see this number right here is 1,500. If you're a church right now of 1,500, so you got 1,500 every Sunday of just adults, and 100 in your youth group, and say you found of those 100, you have 35 leaders to start training. This is where you're starting right here. So watch this. So say you had that 10,000 in your city, and you wanted to get 1,000 of them in your building. Okay, and say of those, and you want to do that twice a year. So over the year, you're going to get 1,000 and then 1,000. And say of those 1,000, maybe 500 come to Christ. I'm saying that because most people are unchurched and unsaved. So, and you have a great message, a great ministry. You're going to get a lot of people coming forward. So say you have 500 coming forward 2 different times, and you do everything you can to get them into a small group. So be very conservative. Say of the 500 that got saved 2 times, that's 1,000 over the course of the year, 2 events. So you got 500 of those into small groups. Okay, so you got 500 new 13-year-olds, 7th and 8th graders, into a small group, right? Each year for the next several years, right? So you do that, and then you get maybe 10% of their parents begin to come because you do special events for parents, like on Mother's Day and Father's Day and graduations. You invite parents to come. Oh, special event, you got to come. So and then some of them start coming on a regular basis, and you got and you start recruiting new people for training. So watch this. So you had 1,500, but you just added 600 because of that. Now you got 2,100 in a year. What? And then you add 500 the next year, and with another 100 there for parents being very conservative. And now you've added 1,200 new people from the beginning. Now you've got 2,700. In 2 years, you've gone from 1,500 to 2,700. This is being conservative. This is because you're going to where the fish are most likely to bite. Imagine this. You get another 500. You've gotten 1,800 new ones. You're at 3,300. You keep going. Now you're getting better at what you're doing. You don't have 1,000 each time. You get 1,500 each time. You get more people coming to Christ. And so now you have 600 a year for the next few years. Look where you're at. In year 4, you're at 4,000. Year 5, you're at 4,700. You're at 6. You see where you're at. Now you're getting better. So now you got 700, 700, 700, and then you got 800. I'm trying to be conservative. You can change those numbers to whatever you want. I'll show you just a second. So conservatively speaking, if you go to where the fish are most likely to bite, and you get, this is the exponential system here, right? Like you get them in training, right? You're training more leaders, you're getting more people saved, they're in small groups, it's accumulating. See how many new people, you got 612, this is how many new people are, not just in your church, but they're in small groups, because you've already deciphered down, not all of them are going to be in small groups. This many new people, you got 6,800 new people, by the 10th year, you got 9,100 people in your church. Look at that. Now, watch closely. How I change some of this. Maybe you don't have 1,500. I'm going to change it. Maybe you only have 150 in your church right now. So if you just take this template and change it, all the numbers change. say, well, you started with 150, you only end up with 7,800. That's still pretty good. But maybe you say, but I don't have 10,000. I don't think I could get 500. What could you get? Well, I'm just gonna change the numbers here. So watch this. So change, instead of 500, say let's be more conservative. Let's do 100. We could do 100 every year. Like even if you only have 1,000 kids in your town, you live in a small town, you could do 100 of them every year, couldn't you? So you just change the number, and your template changes, and your numbers change. It automatically calculates it for you. So watch what it's done so far. So in just the first 3 years, if you started with 150, well, do the math here. It did the math for you. You got 100. It went from that. You got a certain percentage of the parents, new leaders. You got 120 new people. You went from 150 to 270 in a year. Another 100. Look at that, 390. By the third year at 510. Look at that. Look at what just happened. And now realize that 360, about 300 of them are now 13, 14, and 15. How great is that? So watch this. Let me just keep changing the numbers for you here because this is too exciting. You can play with this all you want. Put another 100 there. But you're getting better. On the 5th year, you say, you know what? We're not just getting 100. We're going to get 150 because we're getting better at what we're doing. We're getting smarter at how we're doing it, and so we're attracting more people. We're retaining more people, and so we get 150 for a couple years. And now on year 8, we're even better. We can get 200 people a year because we know how to get them there. We know how to keep them there. We've been measuring self-improvement. 200. And then in year 10, maybe you get 200 as well. Now, look at what's happened. So, you start out with 150, and each year, the first 4 years, you get 100, and then you got 150, 150. Oops, 1,500 there. I don't want to be too optimistic. I'm likely to be too optimistic if you let me. So you get 150 those years. I'm talking for the year, okay? So that's over the course of a year. And then 200, and then 200 for the last 3 years. So watch this. A church of 150 can become a church of 1,890 in 10 years. So that means a church, even in a small area, wherever you might live, you can do this thing. So I want to encourage you. I'm going to stop here because I know there's a lot to process with what we've just talked about, all these spreadsheets and everything. And just go back to, these are the, you might remember, this is the Agile dashboard here that, we just showed you how to monitor all of those things and how to begin to measure those things. But in addition to that, just bring you back to kind of where all these spreadsheets started. That we can, the good news is that no matter where you're at, you build the exponential engine, and then you start adding to the top of it the young people that come to Christ. And even if you're a megachurch, if you got 30,000 people, you can probably, depends on the footprint of youth, you can double the size of your church. You could be at 60,000 in maybe 10 years, 12 years. So anyways, I hope this helps you. I'm just going to encourage you, once you shut this video off, is to discuss all of your different job descriptions, who has what role, who's on what team, because there's 5 task force members, but who's going to be a part of each member's team, and then talk through these spreadsheets, because the person that owns the spreadsheet is the number 5, right? But everybody's going to be feeding the spreadsheet, and he's or she's going to be on you. Hey, give me your numbers, give me your numbers, give me your numbers, because we want to monitor and watch this thing grow. You can custom make it however you want, but it's at least it's a beginning to how to measure the machine that you're creating and the growth that's happening. Okay, we're just about ready to go. I'm so excited for you, and I look forward to our next session together.